sue. According to the Supreme Court today, the 14th Amendment is absolute. If you wade across the Rio Grande in the middle of the night, 9 months pregnant, and pop out a kid 5 feet into this country, that child is a citizen and can run for president. Because according to Amy Coney Barrett, that mother who is here against the law is somehow subject to the jurisdiction thereof. I have no idea how they reached this conclusion, but I sure hope they apply the same absolutism. Oh, when they hear the Second Amendment case they just granted cert for, which I'm going to talk about in 2A Tuesday, regarding AR-15 bans in states. No, that's the standard. The text as written is absolute. Keeping bare. The craziest thing, though, that I want to point out, and I cannot overemphasize how clear and present the difference between the right and left is on this one. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, they had to construct walls, literal riot walls around the Supreme Court because of rabid leftists. But when they ruled against conservatives, no need for walls. That's how we knew what was coming down, because they weren't building any. Because it's understood that Republicans do not lawlessly riot when they don't get their way. And if you're going to give me some garbage about January 6th libs, I'm going to shut that down right now. Because we know that was a setup by the left. They arrested grandmothers who were led into the Capitol by police officers, peaceful protesters walking within the bounds of the red ropes. And then they shot them in the face with smoke grenades to antagonize them. Then 274 undercover FBI assets were hidden amongst the crowd that may or may not have antagonized everybody else, under the leadership of Christopher Wray, which was given to us by Chris Christie, by the way. I'd also like to point out that this decision went in favor of the illegals because, again, Amy Coney Barrett, who was a Mitch McConnell suggestion, thanks for that, Mitch, she helped rewrite the value, or I should say devalue, of citizenship in this country. And Clarence Thomas, God bless this man, clone him and make the whole Supreme Court of Clarence Thomas's. But he wrote this in his dissent, quote, "I am not sure that today's opinion will stand the test of time. The citizenship clause added greatly to the dignity and glory of American citizenship. Today's opinion devalues that citizenship. I respectfully dissent." Well, I'm not so respectful about it, but he's got more class than I do. I don't even ever want to hear another whiny purple-haired lib talk about, hey, this court is a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. The suicidal empathy from the female justices on this one is mind-blowing. Sure, they don't have to deal with it, though. They don't have to see the effects of this because Supreme Court justices, they're secure in their homes with security and a government salary and a guaranteed of a job that will never be taken by an illegal. Who, by the way, is able to stay here because they had a baby after breaking our laws to have that baby here in the first place. Thankfully, the left, they left. It is just so crazy to me. But thankfully, the Supreme Court did leave the door open for some congressional action. And Andy Ogles introduced that immediately.
I have a bill. It'll be called Anchors Away, which, look, if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're not a green card holder and you have a child on U.S. soil, today that child would be a U.S. citizen. Under my bill, under my legislation, we fix that and go back to what our founders intended.
But will they pass it? I mean, probably not, because we have a bunch of cowards in Congress. Some of the liberal justices citing, oh, this is historical precedent that the 14th Amendment meant all people who were physically here. Justice Sotomayor, noting who is able to stay here because they had a baby after breaking our laws to get here. Actually, I don't really see how she got to that logic, because if you want to quote historical precedent, first off, do your job and read Senator Jacob Howard, who, just the co-author of the 14th Amendment, said, quote, "This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners and aliens." But what does he know? Just wrote the damn thing. But it almost makes sense that they reached this conclusion when you realize this broken lens they look through, broken meaning liberalism.
If I steal someone's wallet in Japan, the Japanese authorities can arrest me and prosecute. I'm still locally owing allegiance in that sense.
Yes, if that applies if you're caught shoplifting, which the same does here, but are you guaranteed citizenship if you're just born there? No. In fact, like 80% of the countries here, look for yourself, 154 countries, what are there, 207 sovereign states or something like that? These are all the countries that if you walk in and pop out a baby, that baby is not given the sacredness of citizenship. This is the legislation of an invasion of an America. It's literally the legalization. I shouldn't say legislation. It's the legalization of an invasion of America, because now they're just going to come all over here from all over the place. Keep in mind, you don't have to creep in here illegally. You can just come here on a totally legal tourist visa, traveling from wherever, overstay that, and because we ain't deporting, non-violent criminals anymore, apparently because, we all voted for that, but they're not doing it. That person then can go to the emergency room and have that baby, who, according to the Supreme Court, is now a citizen. Then you could go back or not go back, not pay that hospital bill, which, by the way, is happening a whole lot with illegals in this very instance, because they use our ERs as their primary care doctor. And then guess what? Oh, that's right. The American taxpayer, state taxpayer, town taxpayer, whatever, they get stuck with the bill for someone who shouldn't be here in the first place, having a baby here that is then rewarded with citizenship. Now, as somebody who went overseas to fight and defend this country, for me to have my vote worth as much as somebody who did that is morally offensive. But apparently, Amy Coney Barrett doesn't care.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.